helpful. Go ahead.
Ukraine?
Sure.
Earlier today, the Russian ambassador to the United Nations denied that Russian armed vehicles were crossing into Ukraine. How do you respond to that?
Well, I have a couple of updated details here, so let me run through those for you. We are confident, as we said last Friday, that Russia last week sent tanks and rocket launchers from a deployment site in southwest Russia into eastern Ukraine. We have information that additional tanks have been prepared for departure from this same deployment site, and that's more recently. We also have information that Russia has accumulated artillery at a deployment site in southwest Russia, including a type of artillery utilized by Ukrainian forces but no longer in Russia's active forces, and believe Russia may soon provide this equipment to separatist fighters. And we are obviously closely watching what we are seeing on the ground. I would also point you to the comments of NATO Secretary General Rasmussen yesterday, who said we're seeing a new Russian military buildup of at least a few thousand more troops deployed at the Ukrainian border, and there are troop maneuvers near the border with Ukraine. And separately, we have our own information that Russia has redeployed military forces to its border with Ukraine. This is the closest Russian troops have come to the Ukrainian territory since their invasion of Crimea. So that is our view from the United States.
The Russians say that the troop buildup that you and NATO have spoken about is simply a border guard reinforcing, and that they need to be reinforced because of the flow of, in some places, the flow of people, refugees, some of them, across the border. You don't buy that? Is that?
Well, first, I think one step we've been asking President Putin and the Russians to be supportive of is securing the border, and what we're seeing is a flow of individuals into Ukraine with materials and equipment and tanks, as you know we've been speaking about. In terms of the refugee numbers, we've looked into Russian reports of large numbers of refugees fleeing Russia, and have seen no evidence to
fleeing Ukraine.
Fleeing to Russia, and have seen no evidence to substantiate them. According to the Russian Federal Migration Service itself, just over 5,000 people from Ukraine have applied for asylum in Russia since January, and the numbers, some Russian sources are claiming numbers more like 100,000. So we're talking about the last 6 months, I guess, since January. And many ethnic Russians from Ukraine have family in Russia. Some may be staying with them, but neither Ukrainian border guards nor international organizations operating in the area have reported any large outflows of refugees to Russia to substantiate their claim.
Okay. Excuse me. Apparently there was a meeting this morning of whatever the Russian government committee is that deals with refugees, and they're talking, I think that, unless I'm wrong, I think they were talking about 9,000 or something like that. But to the best of your knowledge, you're saying that you have seen you've seen nothing like this, that there's no mass exodus or even close to thousands that are crossing the border from Ukraine into Russia, fleeing their homes or fighting. Is that
correct? And it's not, obviously, just to clarify though, it's not we're not monitoring this ourselves, obviously, but Ukrainian border guards are, as well as international organizations who are in the area.
Okay. Does that mean that you don't have any concern about the situation in terms of what it means for civilians in the East right now?
Well, I think certainly we have concern, but we think the most effective and powerful step the Russians can take is to call on separatists to lay down their arms and to help secure the border. And obviously those are the steps that we think would reduce the violence and tension in the East.
Earlier today, a senior official was telling people that in addition to what you just said about more tanks, additional tanks being prepared for to be transferred to the separatists, that some, in fact, as of yesterday, had actually moved away from this, from the site in southwest Russia. Do you know, one, how many, and two, in what direction they were moving? I mean, are they moving towards
to be
Ukraine?
clear, we have information about, which I've referred to specifically about preparing for departure from the same deployment site. We've seen reports about additional Russian tanks, rocket launchers, and other military equipment crossing the border into Luhansk. I don't have specific numbers, and those are reports. The other details are more confirmed internally.
But okay, I'm a little confused now. So you don't know that that the tanks have actually left this site in southwest Russia?
There are reports that they have. We know that they're preparing to depart. But the reports are reports. I don't have independent confirmation of those. There are reports out there that we've seen.
In his conversation with